Adoatv, bringing good things to life.
Wednesday, 6 days in the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Time check is 0600 GMT. We're live all across the world on TV and online from digital address GA226 0733. We're also live on digital channel 37 and 38. Good to come to your homes with another edition of AM News on Adoatv television. My name is Nanya Macolison. In our top stories this morning, the biggest opposition party, which is the National Democratic Congress, has criticized the Justice Committee's report that it is full of faulty mistakes and flawed as well. Also coming up, we'll talk about the purchase of the new presidential jet. Is it a necessity or a luxury? Coming up in sports this morning, 4 other players and Wakaso has been dropped as Ghana prepares to meet Zimbabwe in the World Cup qualifications. You might want to stay with me because details of this and many others comes up shortly. Please be my guest. Hello again. The news is live on Facebook at Adoatv Ghana. There you may want to join us with your thoughts and comments. Let's settle for the details now. The National Democratic Congress has described the Justice Kumsin's committee's report as flawed and full of faulty findings. The National Communications Officer, Sami Jemfi, speaking at a press briefing at the party headquarters in Accra, stated that the NDC demands an immediate dismissal of the Ashanti Regional Minister and the demolition of the Dra District Police Commander.
The National Democratic Congress has described the Justice Kumsin's committee report as flawed and full of faulty findings. The report of the three-member ministerial committee that investigated the disturbances at Idra in the Ashanti region has been published by the government. Among other things, the committee recommends the removal of the MCE for the area, who had already pulled out the race for a new MCE, and compensation for the affected families and victims. The President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, earlier in July 2021, directed the Interior Ministry to conduct a public inquiry following the killing of 2 persons and injuries to 4 others by soldiers during the protest against the killing of a social activist, Ibrahim Mohammed Kaka. Ibrahim Mohammed, popularly known as Kaka Macho. Kaka died on Monday, June 28, 2021, after he was attacked by an unknown assailant while returning home from an event he attended in the area. Earlier reports suggested that Kaka was killed because of his social activism, which some persons felt was making the government unpopular. But police reports suggest otherwise after 3 people, including his brother, were arrested and put before the court over the killing. However, the NDC is of the view that the report of the Justice Kumsin Committee is flawed and full of faulty findings.
We have taken note of the findings and recommendations contained in the 55-page report of the 3-member Ministerial Committee of Inquiry, which was set up to investigate the circumstances that led to the disturbances, shootings, injuries, and death of some persons in the Dra in the Ashanti region on the 29th of June 2021. After an objective and painstaking examination of the report, we take the view that the committee's report is a poor attempt at cover-up. The report is full of faulty findings, flawed conclusions, and deficient recommendations, calculated to shield from accountability the murderers of a social activist, Ibrahim Mohammed, aka Macho Kaka, and the perpetrators of the subsequent state-sponsored killings in Idra by the military.
The NDC, again responding to the committee's report, demands an immediate removal of the Ashanti Regional Minister and removal or demotion of the Idra District Police Commander.
Ladies and gentlemen of the media, it is equally reprehensible and unacceptable that the committee did not recommend any sanctions for the political and top military actors who deployed these soldiers in the first place. This is because the committee's own finding, the deployment of the soldiers to Idra was premature and needless. The committee, the Kumsin Committee, in their report, affirms our position that soldiers should have been called upon to quell the justified and legitimate agitation of the Idra youth as a last resort. Yet, they were called in by the irresponsible and reckless and useless Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah, the commanding officer of the 4th Infantry Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Kwesi Wari-Prepra, and the General Officer commanding Central Command Kumasi, Brigadier General Joseph Apo, as a first resort. And so, having established that the deployment of soldiers to Idra was improper, one would have expected the Kumsin Committee to have recommended sanctions for those responsible for that wrongful deployment. But no such recommendation was made in their report. If this does not speak to a certain ground coalition to cover up the heinous crimes of these actual masterminds of the unjustified drug killings, then we do not know what else does. We in the NDC hold the view that the Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei Mensah, who without any due diligence or verifiable intelligence deployed soldiers to Edra and gave them orders to do what they did, which he appeared before the committee to defend, ably supported by the 4 Infantry Battalion Commander and the General Officer Commanding Central Command Kumasi, must be dismissed from their positions for the poor judgment they exercised on the matter, which led to the loss of precious lives and several injuries. The soldiers on the ground were only following the orders of these people, these real masterminds. Also, the committee's recommendation for the transfer of the Dra District Police Commander, DSP Philip Kojo Hammond, whose reckless conduct provoked the Dra disturbances and triggered the shootings and killings of 29 June 2021, is insufficient and I should say ridiculous, to say the least. In fact, that recommendation is an insult to the sensibilities of the affected people and their families. Transferring a police officer to another station in the same capacity and rank can never be considered as disciplinary action. Friends from the media, how on earth can a mere administrative transfer, which have been touted as a routine exercise by the security agencies in time past, be recommended as punishment for a senior police officer whose unprofessional and reckless conduct has caused the death of 2 Ghanaians and injuries to many? Again, we in the NDC hold the view that the committee should have recommended a more punitive and deterrent sanction, such as the demotion or even dismissal.
Speaking in that report is the National Communications Officer for the National Democratic Congress, Sami Jemfi. Let's move away from the NDC party head office and go to Parliament, because Member of Parliament for Ifutu constituency, Honorable Alexander Kwapna Afenyu-Markins, has affirmed the readiness of Winneba to host the extraordinary session of ECOWAS that is expected to commence on 12th October to the 22nd of October 2021. The Deputy Majority Leader, who addressed the parliamentary corps, reiterated their commitment and preparedness towards hosting 110 members and 15 state members of ECOWAS.
Between 27th of July and 31st of July, Winneba hosted ECOWAS delocalized meeting, the ECOWAS Parliament delocalized meeting, and it was very successful. Mr. Speaker, in his wisdom, again gave Winneba the opportunity to hold the extraordinary session this October, and it's taking place between the 12th of October and the 22nd of October. I want to assure every Ghanaian that Winneba is ready to host the sub-region. We have made sufficient preparations in terms of infrastructure and logistics. Government of Ghana has provided the needed support. And in fact, some corporate institutions in Ghana have given firm assurance of their support for the upcoming event. In all the 15 member states will participate, save that Guinea is temporary on the ice. It's not participate in Guinea has been suspended. So we do not expect the Guinea delegation to be in Winneba. We are expecting, therefore, about 110 members of parliament in the sub-regional parliament to congregate in Winneba for the 10-day period. All the speakers, Mr. Speaker himself and the deputy speakers will be present. There will be resource persons, experts would be there to take us through aspects of the program. And accommodation-wise, we have made sufficient arrangements. In fact, some hotels that needed to upgrade their facilities have upgraded their facilities. The ECOWAS protocol recce team was in Winneba last week, and they were satisfied with the facilities so far. The University of Education Winneba auditorium would be the venue for the main event, the Jofus Anamwa Mensa auditorium. It has the state-of-the-art facilities and is going to be the main venue. Windy Lodge conference room will also be on standby to provide the base for other consultative meeting, discussions and seminar and all that will take place.
Honorable Alexander Kwabna Afenyo-Markins is the Deputy Majority Leader in Parliament and also the Member of Parliament for Efutu constituency. Let's move away from Parliament and do some other stories now, because one topic that has a yes response from the minority in Parliament and the majority of the public is the issue of the procurement of a big presidential jet, as according to the Director of Communications at the Presidency, Eugene Ahin, has become the necessary evil. We've put together on the question to ask whether it is a necessity or luxury in the following report.
So because I penny or money in a shenansa, it's a and so also, but they imagine training. Why? Oh, Yamaba Shayan. Yamaba show no dear bass, I see so no one be put why? And see me there, me my granny senka, Mamma and top. No, because so too quiet, I saw Cono Bantem. So I make crank a metal. Why, it's no nya.
The constant dilemma of whether or not Ghana should procure a bigger private jet to accommodate the president and his entourage while traveling has become a roller coaster conversation for months. Recently, Minister for Defense, Mr. Dominic Nitiwu, has been handling the process in relation to buying a bigger and new presidential jet. The minister has made it clear that government has decided to buy a bigger jet to save costs. Meanwhile, Director of Communications at the Presidency, Mr. Eugene Ahin, also prior to that, had given a hint at a press briefing at the Jubilee House on Monday, September 27, 2021, that the move to get a bigger fit-for-purpose aircraft was part of cost-saving measures on the travels of the president and other state key functionaries.
In 2008, it had procured 2 jets, the current Falcon, and then a bigger Embraer, if I'm not mistaken. And for one reason or another, the bigger jet was cancelled, and we were left with this particular one here. I don't know what I mean. Obviously, it would have made much more economic sense to keep the bigger one, because obviously when that happens, when you're traveling with your delegation, and as you know, you don't have to send media people ahead of time. All of you can just go at a go, saves cost and everything. But well, it has happened, and you collect that the Minister for Defense has made it clear that government has decided to buy a bigger jet to save us from all these troubles. I wouldn't want to go into details. I'm sure when the Minister for Defense has the opportunity to give further information as to what government is doing with respect to that, I'm sure he'll do that. But I know for a fact that, yes, as he has rightly indicated, government's already in the process of acquiring a bigger jet.
However, Communications Officer for the National Democratic Congress (NDC), Sami Jenfi, on Saturday, 2nd October 2021, reacted to the MPP government's decision to buy a new presidential jet, saying the Akufo-Addo-led government's decision to acquire a presidential jet at this time is a case of misplaced priority. Mr. Jenfi stressed that government being aware of the woes of citizens who are managing to cope in a post-COVID-19 Ghana and still pursuing a quest to buy a presidential jet is unacceptable. Again, Deputy National Youth Organizer of the National Democratic Congress (NDC), Chief Nikes Mbenu, on Tuesday, 3rd October, has also said that President Akufo-Addo and his government's decision to purchase a new presidential jet is curious, most especially when the country is trying to navigate the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, and he even entertaining the idea to buy a new presidential jet is inconsistent. Speaking to Adoatv on this topic, some Ghanaians found the decision rather disturbing, and they claim the hardship in the country is unbearable for President Akufo-Addo and his government to even conceive the idea of purchasing a new, bigger presidential jet.
Dream no ne say ehun hia say nka obaka koto because already you will be dada e wo ho. Na say you will be na say o san the ska fufura san koto bioma. Then na say o say o boy nka double. Because already no there's rumor say o ko high private jet e dware wo ne nema aye wo plane bi wo ho no. I mean o san koto bioma na say e kabo. So buy say we Ghana foka. And I said yeah, no must be said yeah, no, papa. Seriously.
Oh, me de me who say on top because I want to my mududu. And I'm over and so me who say it's capable no the better and I'm a boy. So there are many projects for how I was all the and no who here pa what I say. So jet need the for so be any so.
Just no cause so say bia you fair baby and as bia but me come back just see.
Oh no be enjoy and I'm a boy. So I'll come for the whole country in Dinechinko. And so no go na enjoy what jet ni. What I say. So no ne me when you say no da no ya dia like a bit favor no ko and favor Ghana for what I say. So me there. Me when you say a good idea cry one bit.
Mrantie ne maba wanya adwuma ya. Omanya yenya independence. Say 64 years ni. Na enkola de wo mo yafuto fo. And the tro e school them. So omanya yetimu a mo ana mo ka se covid. Na no ma bo kwa na ekoso. Na mo nwe no ho e ma no ma prices na ma fo. Na manyi sika na mo simu de kokoto player. Yeah, play ni bi wo ho. So I say o pa kire say. Ye dwom ha ye ntiase. That say. Na politicians omo ba omo no de omo be ka kire ba nya no na yehu that say enka menyi ni say gidie nya wo ni mu no enya no yehu omma no mu onimu a mo ye nka kire ni say me ka kire so wo behwe bia ka kire say omma ni mu ayeden enwoma mo ba power 2016 ne omo ka kire anoma omo ka kire na anu ni yehu.
Heard some cross-section of Ghanaians sharing their thoughts with the news team as to whether the purchase of a new and bigger presidential jet is a necessity or luxury. Let's stay away from that and do some other stories now. As the Ghana National Association of Teachers of Accra Metro West District in Jowlu Local has held its Teachers' Day celebration at the Bethel Methodist Church Jowlu, a suburb in Accra. This year's celebration differs as teachers were briefed extensively on the code of conduct of the Ghana Education Service. There's more in the following report.
October 5th has been set aside to celebrate, congratulate, and encourage teachers around the globe for the good work they do by impacting knowledge into young ones. The anniversary dates back to 1966, where UNESCO made several recommendations on the status of teachers, which includes teachers from pre-primary to the SHS, both government and private sectors. Also during the anniversary, the initial duration of training of teachers, how they are being trained, their recruitment, supervision, assessment, responsibilities, rights, among others, were all touched on. However, this year celebration was focused on the support teachers need to fully contribute to the recovery process after COVID-19. Indoor fun activities was equally inculcated to brighten the smile of teachers who were able to be a part of this year's Teachers' Day celebration. NAT's chairman for Jolu Local, Mr. Ransford Nanado Asari, disclosed the problems teachers encountered during the lockdown and called on government to provide them with teaching and learning logistics.
We recommend that government should make teaching and learning resources available to enhance effective teaching and learning in the various classrooms. Then union is also charging the directorate, and I'm happy HR is here to work hand in hand with headquarters and controller to place teachers who were recently promoted to their respective ranks. I hope this message will be carried to director.
Human Resource Manager for Ayawa Sowes Wagon, Madame Doris Owusu, also delivered her speech on the GES Code of Conduct and advised teachers on how to cope with all the students.
Let's be careful. And let's remember that one day we will also be in that same seat. But apart from that, our Code of Conduct says we should go to school at the right time and leave at the right time. I will summarize most of them. And leave at the right time. And when we go, remember we went to school to teach. So you went at the right time. These days we don't go for assembly, but assembly time, you'll be in your classroom. Break time, you'll be in your classroom. You don't care. Whatever happens, you don't care. Extra curriculum, you don't care. You won't do it. And some teachers are bold enough to tell their head, I won't do it. But
some insurance guests who were present at the celebration also gave teachers guidelines on insurance and its beneficials.
I learned some of you are already on. In fact, most of you are already on. And it has become a necessity. And so we should always come over and over and over to encourage those who are yet to sign on. Every year, your contribution goes up by 10%. So is the claim. There is a corresponding increase in your benefit too.
Before 2008, SNIT was the only company managing our pensions. So our contributions were going to SNIT, so that when you go on retirement, SNIT will give you monthly salaries and also give you a lump sum. With the tier 2, we are just limited to 5% of our basic salaries that we contribute into the tier 2, just 5% of our basic salary that goes into the tier 2. But with this tier 3, because it's a voluntary scheme, there are fluctuations. You can choose to do any percentage that you want. The law is actually saying that you have a maximum of 16.5% of your basic salary to contribute into the tier 3. So it means that you can decide that, okay, I'll do just 5%, or I can contribute 7%, or I can contribute 10%, or I can do 12%, or I'll take full advantage of the maximum, which is the 16.5%.
Let's join us. You are watching AM News on Adoatv Television with me, Nanya Macaulay. So let's do the latest in the world of sport. The 27 players opened camp Tuesday morning to begin preparation for this month's Match Day 3 and Match Day 4 for FIFA World Cup Qatar 2020 qualifiers against Zimbabwe. The Black Stars of Ghana will lose some key players such as Mubarak Wakaso, Emmanuel Jesse, and 3 other stars will be missing Ghana's first leg against Zimbabwe in Cape Coast Stadium.
The Ghana Football Association announced that the Black Stars of Ghana will be traveling to Cape Coast without some key players in their first leg against Zimbabwe in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. This follows the decision of the technical team to excuse 5 players from the squad ahead of the qualifiers. They include Ismail Abdul Ganiu, Tariq Fosu Henry, Joseph Alfred Duncan, Mubarak Wakasu, and Emmanuel Jesse. The team traveled to Cape Coast on Tuesday morning, where they will begin training in the evening for their first game on Saturday. Meanwhile, England-based right-back Andy Adam, who plays for Reading FC, is currently being assessed after picking up a knock on Saturday during a championship game after Cardiff City and got replaced in the 80th minute. Coach Milovan Rajevac and his men are seeking to get back their winning ways following the 1-0 loss to South Africa in the second Group G game. The Black Stars, who began the World Cup qualifying campaign with a 1-0 win over Ethiopia on March Day 1, sit second in the Group J with 3 points after 2 rounds of matches. Ghana is scheduled to play the Warriors of Zimbabwe in a double-header with the first leg set for the Cape Coast Stadium on Saturday, October 9, 2021. These are the remaining Ghana's 27-man squad. Goalkeepers: Lawrence Atizigi, Richard Atta, Ibrahim Donlad, Jojo Walcott. Defenders: Philemon Bafo, Andrew Yadom, Gideon Mensah, Baba Abdul Rahman, Daniel Amate, Joseph Adu, Jonathan Mensah, Alexander Jiku. Midfielders: Thomas Partey, Baba Idrisu, Emmanuel Lomote, Mohamed Kudus, Majid Amisheru, Kofi Tre, Abdul Fattah Isaku. Forwards: Andre Ayew, Kamaldeen Sulemana, Joel Fameye, Yao Yeboah, Samuel Owusu, Jordan Ayew, Caleb Ekuban, Benjamin Tete. The public is hereby informed that the Black Stars will train behind closed doors at the Cape Coast Stadium beginning from Tuesday, October 5, 2021. The senior national team is expected to begin training in the Central Region capital on Tuesday ahead of this month's FIFA World Cup qualifiers against the Warriors of Zimbabwe.
You can get more sports news on www.adwanewsonline.com/sports for you to get updated in the world of sports. This is how we wrap up today's edition on AM News on Adwa Television. We'll bring you updates of these stories and many others in our subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, you can visit our website www.adwanewsonline.com. My name is Nanya Makolison. From me and the rest of the team, thank you for watching. Please do stick and stay with us as we tell you and analyze the happenings across the country. Also coming up, we here at Adwa Television has embarked on a campaign with Sonotech Diagnostic Center and the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Do well to enjoy some discounts from the Diagnostic Center. For me and the rest of the team, we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.